So YouTube uploaded a few days after it was shown on their cable channel. YouTube, through Vice TV's YouTube channel, Vice, basically, uploaded the Dark Side of the Ring sneak peek. Basically, it's called Dark Side of the Ring Confidential Season 3 Sneak Peek, or at least the second half of Season 3 Sneak Peek. And it had Chris Jericho and the creators of the series talking and basically recapping the first half of the third season, which aired earlier this year, as well as also going over some of the stories and things that they covered in the previous seasons as well. And overall, this first of all, let me say this: Dark Side of the Ring, overall, if you will, let's just checking something right there. Overall, is a great series. It is a great series that if you ever wanted to know some of the dark secrets of wrestling, if you're a wrestling fan, whether you were, still are, maybe even pretty much to the upteenth degree of a fan, of being a fan. If you wanted to know any of the dark secrets, of what the business itself, from former superstars, wrestlers, to potential urban legends, myths, to the history behind outlaw, promotions like they got upcoming for the second half, which begins this Thursday on Vice at 9 p.m. Pacific and Eastern. So, yeah, if you ever wanted to know, I would definitely check this out. And it's because of this series that you're starting to see more Dark Side spin-offs coming out. Like they did a Dark Side of Football series, if you will, which looked basically into the dark side of the NFL. They didn't say it by name, but it's Dark Side of Football, and they showed footage and everything, as well as photos of various NFL games with the players, former players, and I think some current players that they talked about, or formerly current players who recently retired. And on top of that, they've also done, much to my surprise, a Dark Side of the 90s series, where they look at the dark side of the decade known as the 1990s, from 1990 to 2000, if you will. So, obviously the success of Dark Side of the Ring has spun off all these other Dark Side series, and there might be more to come. I mean, there's been talk that they want to expand Dark Side of the Ring to cover more than just wrestling. Like they could look into MMA, they could look into boxing. But if they do that, then you're taking away, in my opinion, what made Dark Side of the Ring very popular, and that's wrestling. That's professional wrestling. So I think if they do Dark Side of the Ring episodes or not episodes, but series on boxing and MMA, I think they need to basically call it Dark Side of Combat Sports or something like that, to differentiate from Dark Side of the Ring, if you will. But in my opinion, though, Dark Side of the Ring, overall, for the past 2.5 seasons I've seen it, I've really found it intriguing and interesting, because again, you find out things that you've heard about, but you get further detail, more detail than you previously could imagine, if you will. Now, during the recap, they did talk about, like I said, the stories they already went over and stuff, and they even when they got to the Warrior portion that they talked about, the Warrior episode they did in the first half, they even acknowledged how it was kind of coincidental, kind of like, I would say ironic or something like that, that at the same time they were doing something, they were alerted that A&E was doing something as well. So they talked about that, and they even, I don't know if they just wanted to put themselves over or something, who can blame them? I mean, the show's a big hit with a lot of folks. But they basically said that they felt that their take on Warrior was a little bit more lighthearted than A&E's, because A&E's, when I talked about this earlier, I basically said they kind of balanced each other out. I mean, you found some things out about Warrior in the A&E special that wasn't covered in the Dark Side of the Ring episode, and you found things out in the Dark Side of the Ring episode that wasn't covered in the A&E documentary. So, to me, they kind of balanced each other out. But overall, they like I said, they went over what they had, some of the episodes that we'd seen already in the first half and stuff, and then as well as they showed some bonus clips, because that's the one thing about Dark Side, the confidential spin-off, if you will, of the series, that has made it popular in a way that they show bonus clips from episodes that they didn't show before. Anyway, with that said, they to me, they did a great job. To me, they did a great job not only recapping the first half of the third season, but really setting us up and getting you invested for the second half, because they showed clips and everything of some of the episodes upcoming, like the plane ride from hell, which is going to be the first one that they show this Thursday, and then they talk about FM. They showed clips from that, interviews from that, and they got a lot of people for that. They got like Dreamer, they got Just Incredible, PJ Polacco. They got Rob Van Dam. I think they got a few others as well. And then on top of that, they showed clips, where they talked to Onita, the guy that founded FMW. And they even show a clip that obviously is going to be in the episode about FMW, where he's just nonchalantly just lighting a cigarette when they're talking about what happened to the guy that he passed ownership to or control to of the company, who basically took his own life. Like, he just nonchalantly lit a cigarette. And it's like, he just didn't care. It's like, hey, you pay, you put yourself into this kind of situation, you have to pay a price or something. They also talk about XPW. They have an interview with Chaos, one of the wrestlers that was part of the XPW, called Chaos. And they talk about how in this interview, because they do talk about it before showing the clip of the interview with Chaos, they talk about the fact that what they learned is that when they would go to the offices of Rob Black, the guy that ran XPW, that in one corner you'd have guys and even gals doing wrestling holds, going over strategy, going over certain things and stuff. And then on the other side, you would have a freaking porno shoot, or porno shoot or movie being shot or filmed. And it's like, Chaos, in this clip, in the clip of it, in the interview with him, he's like, what the is this, or what is this being, so yeah, really, it's really it really gets you, like I said, just the fact that they highlighted each of the episodes. They didn't give much away. They just highlighted, like, what some of the interviews were going to be, what you were going to see in the episode potentially, if not obviously. So I thought they did a great job. I mean, they even showed that they did an interview with Terry Funk, and basically, they talked to him about his match, obviously, with Onita, the exploding barbed wire death match, and how basically, Funk, he's saying that, the cost of a seat, in Japan for those events was a lot more than what you would get here in the U.S. at that time period. And then he just jokes around, basically saying that, someone's like, oh, I got a front row seat to eat. I want to have a front row seat to this barbed wire exploding death match. And Funk's reaction to that is a bull blink, or BS, if you will. So it's really fun. Obviously he's going to be a highlight of the FMW episode when they get to that. And then of course they talked to Sabu. They got Sabu. And they got him for XPW, and they got him for FMW. And part of the FMW thing, I think, when they talked to Sabu, was when him and his uncle, the Sheik, the original Sheik, took on Onita and Onita's partner in a literal flaming barbed wire match that basically engulfed the ropes. Basically felt like, to them, they were in an inferno, to where they had to roll out of the ring to get some air. That's how bad it was. So, they show highlights about, they showed a sneak peek of that happening. They talked about, what's going on with Johnny Canine, Bruiser Beldrum, and, in Smoky Mountain. And they talked to Lance Storm, who gets emotional in the clip they show about him being interviewed, as well as with Jim Cornette, and they tell us that Jim Cornette wanted them to really do this episode to find out a little bit more of this double life, Johnny Canine was living. And, they talk about that. They do highlights. They show sneak peeks of the Luna Vachon interview they're going to do. Just a whole, they just basically run the gambit with sneak peeks of all the upcoming episodes for the second half. And overall, I thought they did a good job in getting me intrigued and me invested and ready to watch that series, because I will. Like I said, I've been watching it since the beginning. I think it's great. And I think if you're an average I think not average, but if you are a wrestling fan in general, whether you're an average fan, casual, hardcore, you name it. If you are a fan, period, then Dark Side of the Ring is something you have to watch. They have, like I say, the first 2.5 seasons up on demand on their Vice on demand channel. If you have that on your cable system or DirecTV or Dish, they have that. I'm sure people have uploaded the episodes on YouTube and Dailymotion and Vimeo, so you can check those out. Vice has even done that as well themselves to kind of avoid any situation, copyright or whatever. So if you want to check it out, I recommend doing it. Kind of binge. In my opinion, binge watch as best you can all the the first 2.5 seasons. Binge watch them as best you can. To get yourself ready for this Thursday, because I guarantee you, you are not going to regret watching Dark Side of the Ring at all. It is a great series in my opinion. So that's all I'm going to say though, guys, on it. Again, I recommend checking it out. You will not regret watching it, especially if you're a wrestling fan in general, overall, whether you're an avid fan or average fan, casual or even hardcore. I definitely recommend checking it out. I think you will personally enjoy it because it is really, really good. And again, it is spun off various Dark Side series outside of it. Dark Side of Football, Dark Side of the 90s, and who knows what else they may spin off into a Dark Side series. Excuse me there. Who knows what they may spin off into another Dark Side series. Again, there's talk that they want to cover boxing and MMA like UFC, Bellator, but I think they may have to make it its own series because you don't want to take away from the attraction that is, that made Dark Side of the Ring what it is, which is professional wrestling. So I think they may have to go with the dark side of combat sports, if you will, when it comes to boxing, kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai, you name it. And who knows, we might get a dark side of basketball, we might get a dark side of baseball, dark side of the 80s, who knows? The possibilities are endless, and it's all thanks to this series. So again, I highly recommend checking it out. You will not regret it. And that's all I'm going to say. So, till next time, guys, comment down below, live chat during the premiere, like the video, check out my Teespring store. More merchandise will be coming up as soon as possible. Trying to come up with some ideas there. But again, I highly recommend you check it out. And that's all I'm going to say, guys. So, till later, I'm out.